Yankees have their backs to the wall.
2-2 to Torres. Bouncing ball towards the middle. Edman with a spin and a throw. And the Dodgers dominate Game 3. They're a win away from a world championship.
Which Los Angeles could win tonight in New York. After the Dodgers beat the Yankees 4-2 on Fox, only one team in baseball history has come back from down 3-0 in a series. The Red Sox 20 years ago against the Yankees. I'm Dave Anthony. This is Fox News.
Lawrence County depends on WDXE News, on the air since 1951. This is The Legend. 105.3, 95.3, WDXE.
Hey, that's us, WDXE. It's time for the Rent Right and First Class Charter Hour. And today, Bill Adams is on a trip, but we've got some guest host, I guess is the way to put it. Shannon Watson, and also she brought... whoever this guy is, Daryl. Some people call him Daryl Waltrip. But
yes, someone does.
Someone does. Anyway, Lonnie Box loves to talk about that.
Yeah, it's so funny. That is one of my favorite dad stories.
Yeah, well, you know that I love your dad. He's a great friend of mine, and all your family, actually.
He loves you.
Yeah,
he loves you.
Yeah. Well, you kind of feel that. You know that.
Yeah.
So anyway, we've been close for a long time, and we saw him not too long ago. In fact, he came out to the house.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, Lanny's a good one.
Yeah.
Sure
thank
is.
you.
Sure is. And he did pretty good bringing up 2 girls.
2 girls and 1 crazy boy. Yeah, he did. He did all right.
I was going to leave there. I was going to leave.
I think you're still bringing up the one boy.
the one boy we won't.
Yeah.
No. I get a lot of fun out of Barry too, because he and I, not quite so much. I'm not as big on it as he is, but we have a love of pocket knives.
Yes, a slight love, obsession, whatever.
Obsession, whatever. So I'm tempted by him all the time. So anyway, I bought a few from him.
Yeah, they're having a big time with that.
Yeah. I got tickled. Got tickled at Lanny one day, Daryl, that he said that he's going to have to slow him down on the knives and get him back to selling cars.
Yes.
Well, I told him, I said, you're the one who created that monster.
He did.
I said, Lanny started collecting knives first.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And then he got Barry into it because Barry got excited with it, and now Barry loves it, and he's doing with knives every day.
Yeah, they do. They have a lot of fun with them.
They
They sure do. Well, of course, I did mention that today is the Rent Right First Class Charter Hour. I want to mention something that I know is going on with First Class Charter.
Sure.
Because I'm involved in it a little bit. But, annually they've had for a lot of years the Lights of Love Tour. Oh. And I don't know if y'all are familiar with that or not, but they used to take it's bus loads up to see the lights at Opryland during the holidays and all that kind of stuff. Well, we're going to recreate that again this time, except this time we're going to Huntsville. Nice. This will be on December the 10th. Tuesday. It's a Tuesday, just an evening trip. And, of course, it's a charitable thing. All the money that's taken in will go to God's Storehouse this year.
Oh,
and we're also going to tie a coat drive into this as well for folks that may need a coat, that kind of thing. So the Lights of Love Tour this time, I'm going to get to help host that. So First Class Charter, then we're going to leave, I think, from the Senior Center around 3 o'clock on a Tuesday evening. We're going to go down to Bridge Street and turn everybody loose. And they're going to have a couple of hours on their own time there, and then we're going to get back on the bus and go over to Toyota Field, where they have a big light show. I've not seen it.
I've not heard it.
But I've heard it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I've heard it's pretty awesome. So we're looking forward to that. And if you'd like to get on the list for that, we want you guys to go and invite a bunch of folks. It's $40 per seat. But again, all of that money is going to go to God's Storehouse and the efforts that they make. So
that's wonderful.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
God's Storehouse. That's one thing that I have. I'm excited that they asked me to be a part of the board of God's Storehouse since I retired. So I'm very excited about that.
I did not know that.
It's just I've attended one meeting. I actually had COVID and I attended online. But God's Storehouse is such an amazing resource for our community. Yeah. I mean, what they do. I think right now they're asking for heaters. They don't just give out food to people in our community. They're asking for like heaters and
Yes.
and they'll do air conditioners when it's spring.
Right.
They try to meet every need that people have. So I've learned a lot about it. So I'm really thankful to know that is going to happen for God's Storehouse.
Well, good.
Kudos
What's
to
the
you
date
guys.
on that? December the 10th.
December the 10th. It's
Nice.
a Tuesday.
Nice.
And,
Thank you for
we're
that.
We're
That's
looking
wonderful.
forward to having a big time on that. I hope we have 2 bus loads.
I do too.
It may be more, I don't know, but at least a bus load and maybe 2.
That's awesome.
So it'll be, I think the buses hold 50 some odd. So we could have 100 of our closest friends
Running around Bridge
running
Street.
around Bridge Street down there. And Bridge Street's fun too.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
lot.
neat. It's a neat area.
And it'll be decorated up for Christmas
Oh,
that time
sure.
of year too. So it'll be nice.
Yeah.
It'll be nice. Anyway, I wanted to make you guys aware of that, of course, from our friends at First Class Charter. And, of course, Rent Right bringing us this hour. And they've got lots of wonderful equipment for you, those Hustler mowers. They've got Troy-Bilt now. And, by the way, they've got pocket knives.
Oh.
I was out there the other day, and I noticed that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they got pocket knives.
Everybody's getting in the pocket knife business. It's pretty.
And I mentioned that because, the holidays are coming up.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of dad gifts there
Oh.
at Rent Right.
Sure.
That's true.
Good place for dad. If you got something you don't know quite what to get dad, there's some things there that
Yeah.
you might consider.
I
It's
love
amazing
it.
how many people are into pocket knives.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I didn't realize that until Lanny and Barry started doing it so much, and then now, I mean, it just seems like everybody.
Oh yeah. I've got a drawer full.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet
It
more
is.
than a drawer if I had to guess.
Well, I'm careful.
Yeah, I was gonna
Okay.
say, I'm
Listen,
sure you
don't-
don't just throw them in the drawer.
Well, I don't want to reveal too much. I'll get in trouble with my sweetie. You know.
We know how that is.
Well, Miss Shannon, I want to start with you a little bit. You guys have both been on the air here with us before,
Yes, sir.
And you are headed. You're in an actual election right now going on for the school board. Which seat?
I am District 9.
District 9.
District 9. Nikki Hartsfield resigned. From the school board. He and his wife are moving to Florence, and so he had asked me back in May if I would be interested because he
Okay.
knew I was getting ready to retire.
Yeah.
And I committed to him in May that I would seek the appointment to that school board seat.
Okay.
So, 30 years I worked in Lawrence County Schools, so it's always kind of been a thought kind of in my plan to be a part of the school board once I did retire. So
Well, good.
it just was, I didn't expect it to be so soon,
Yeah.
but here we are.
Well, 30 years teaching.
Well, multiple
roles, I guess.
roles in Lawrence County Schools. My very first job, I was a special ed assistant. I
Okay.
worked under Dee Dee Baxter at Lawrence County High School, and I did that for a little while. And then I was a vocational rehabilitation counselor for a year, and then I got a position teaching business education at Summertown. So I was a teacher for 17 years. I was a teacher, and then I was a supervisor of career and technical education for 13. So I've been an aide, I've been a teacher, and I've been a counselor, and I've been a supervisor in Lawrence County
You've
Schools.
had multiple roles throughout
Yes, sir.
throughout your career at teaching or a part of the school system.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you've seen it from I guess different aspects.
Absolutely.
And I guess I'd ask you about that. I mean, having those experiences, where do you think we should concentrate more effort, I guess? And I don't know that that's a good question or not, but
I think that's a great question. So my first response to that is safety. I'm so proud of what we do in Lawrence County Schools as far as keeping our students safe.
Yeah.
That has always been at the forefront of those making decisions, be it the board, be it the supervisors, be it the teachers, the safety of the students
Yeah.
and the employees.
Yeah.
If students are safe and they feel safe, then you can teach them.
yeah.
You can teach them, and I strongly believe that. So that would be my first
Sure.
answer to that is let's keep these kids safe and
well,
the teachers.
I know there's a tremendous efforts being made with that always.
Oh, yeah.
And you probably never stop thinking about how we can, improve on that.
Not at all. Not at all. That is the forefront. Keep the kids safe.
Yeah.
Keep them safe. We've got, just try to meet every need that the whole child has.
Sure.
Because every kid in Lawrence County right now for several years has eaten for free. Breakfast, lunch.
Yeah.
Our nutrition department, I'm so proud of them and their efforts. They stay on top of the ball. Not every school district has free food, breakfast and lunch the way we do, and they have stayed on top of grants and on top of all the funding to make sure our kids. There's no reason for our students, to not eat.
To go hungry.
Their bellies are full, and if a belly's full, you can teach them.
Well, I was blessed to be well taken care of.
Yes.
I've always been fairly healthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know the feeling.
Big boned, as they say. But for a lot of us, we don't realize that there are a lot of kids who for one reason or another, aren't really taken care of at home.
Right.
And their home circumstances are dire.
Right.
And chaotic. And there's just a lot of kids that face a lot of challenges besides just getting to school.
Sure.
And that kind of thing.
School is a safe place for so many of our students.
Yeah.
It's a safe place. They I feel like in Lawrence County schools, we try, I say we because I feel like I'm still a part of it, even though I've retired. But Lawrence County schools is just phenomenal. And I'm not just saying that because I was a part of it for 30 years, but what we do and all of the efforts, what we have done to assist with mental health, that's something that's an effort that Lawrence County Schools has really added positions and things like that because mental health is such it's such an issue. And so I'm really proud of our school district and again, I feel like our district has jumped ahead of other districts in making sure funding is there for positions in, the social health arena.
Sure. I was going to ask you, beyond safety, I guess, what do you think are some of our greatest challenges as far as education? The nuts and bolts of educating our kids.
That is a good question. That I feel like in Lawrence County schools and with our, we're so spread out. We are a big county, right?
Yeah, we are.
We are a very large county. We have about 7,000 students that's kind of an average of where we've been enrollment wise over the last few years that I was a part of Lawrence County schools. And transportation, busing is a big deal. But as far as the actual classroom, educating the students, making sure they've got up-to-date software, that was something in the career and technical field that I have experience in. We wanted to make sure our students had the most up-to-date Microsoft, right? We just it was just updated this summer to where all of our business classes have the most up-to-date Microsoft Office suite.
Right.
In that career and technical arena, the most up-to-date tools. If you talk about in our masonry classes, you talk about it and making sure that, say, Steve Cheatwood at Lawrence County High School has got the most up-to-date equipment for students to learn that trade. Same thing for automotive, making sure Jamie Kincaid at Lawrence County High School has got what he needs to teach students how to check the computer of a car. Keeping up to date on curriculum, it's expensive. So that goes back to funding, making sure that we're making the right decisions as far as funding goes to keep all of it. In the math class, in your English class, the state sends down lots of mandates on that. We as a district have to be smart as far as how we budget our money and making sure that we're ready for those challenges with updated math curriculum, with updated English curriculum. And then providing professional development for our teachers to make sure they're ready with that new curriculum. You know, it's just a continuous cycle.
This is not intended to be controversial at all.
Yeah, gotcha.
I'm just an observation.
Sure, sure.
You know that my wife taught for many years.
Yeah, yeah.
She taught at Ingram Sal.
Right.
And I've always questioned this a little bit, Daryl. And maybe you can chime in too or whatever. But the curriculum question.
Yes.
Why is there a need to continually change or update the curriculum? Because there's so much, to me, in education that doesn't change.
Right.
You know,
right.
History is history, math is math, English is English, even though I don't speak it very well. But I'm like, okay, so why is there always a continual update of curriculum?
Right.
When 2 and 2 has always been 4.
So,
I'm just truly.
That is great, Jeff, because the only and the true response is in a school district, a public school district, your hands are tied. Lawrence County Schools has to do what the state says.
Right.
The state has to do what the feds say. You've got federal and it comes back to that funding. You've got federal funding coming from D.C. You've got funding at the state coming.
Well, you know where I'm headed. I'm fixing to get on the soapbox.
Just go for it. It's okay. but that is the honest truth.
Yeah.
Our teachers,
Yeah.
and our supervisors, we have to. It's not our decision,
Yes.
so to speak, on that. When the state sends down, and people need to understand that when the state sends down standards, we're required to teach those standards. That's what the kids are tested on. Those standards.
Yeah.
A lot of there's funding there. Now we have TISA. TISA is the new funding formula.
Wait a minute, TISA.
TISA, yeah.
What does that stand for?
Oh goodness.
I'm sorry.
Jeff, I've been retired since June. I don't remember. Tennessee, blah blah blah. Whatever. But it is the funding formula, and it's based on student enrollment. It's based on student achievement, right?
Well, the reality is our school system is dependent largely on state funding, and state funding is dependent largely on federal funding.
Yes.
And so when you're in that boat, then those powers that be get to dictate a little bit, at least, what you use those dollars for.
Right.
So they send down a mandate
Right.
that says this is how you'll spend this money.
Right. And Jeff, to kind of piggyback on that, what a lot of people don't understand, like if the state says, the governor says, and this is truth, the governor says we're going to give every teacher in Tennessee a 10% raise. Now that would be quite a raise, right?
Yeah.
A 10% raise.
Right.
Well, in Lawrence County schools, we have probably 100 or more employees that are certified. Certified meaning teachers, counselors, or whatever those positions might be, that have to be included in that raise. That are not state funded positions.
Okay.
Okay, so when the governor says we're going to give every teacher this raise, that's when your Lawrence County schools, your Lincoln County schools, your Giles County schools has to go. We have to look at the budget big time, because you got to find the dollars. If you're going to give that raise, you got to give that raise to everybody, but not every position is state funded.
Okay, well that begs a big question then. So that literally can happen. The state says the teachers across the board are going to get a 10% raise, but they're not funding it.
They're funding part of it.
Funded part of it, but not all of it.
Not all of it, because we've got like, for example, Lawrence County Schools was one of the first districts to put SROs in every school.
Yeah.
That's true. That is very, very true. We were one of the first districts to put a school nurse in every school. But those were positions that were not funded.
Not state funded.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
So they're locally
We were
funded.
one of the first, we as a district, when you talk about, we have local dollars, we have state dollars, we have federal dollars. But when you are talking about raises and things like that, you've got so many positions that are not included in those state funds that are sent down. And people don't understand
But
that.
if the state says they get a 10% raise, then the teachers are funded by the state. The 10% comes
Not
from
all
the
of
state,
them.
but the county still has to fund a portion of that 10%.
Yes, the county has to fund. We have to look at our budget, and we have to figure out a way to give everybody that raise, because not every position we have is state funded based on the state
do they
formula
fund the full 10% of the teachers?
of what the formula says that we can have.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think I understand,
Yeah.
although it seems somewhat unfair to do it.
It's
And I don't mean-
almost untrue. It's almost untrue, Jeff, because we are in Lawrence County Schools, we have a lot of employees that are not, as I was saying, we were the first to do the SROs, we were one of the first to do the school nurses, and those were not state-funded positions. We had to dig deep into our budget to have those positions.
Okay.
Those are certified.
So that takes a cooperation with the school board and the county commission all together, doesn't it?
Yes, budgeting is tough. That's what the school board, the school board is called to do, is to approve the funds and the budget and all of those.
The question to me would be, why is the state not funding the SRO? I mean, why?
They
why
are
do
now.
Not? Okay.
They are now. But Lawrence County chose several years back. That goes back to the sheriff's department now.
Yep.
The sheriff's department of Lawrence County funds the SROs now.
Okay.
And that went back several years ago.
Okay.
But I mean, we've had SROs for a long, long time.
Well, it's complex.
Yep.
It
is.
Government runs institutions are complex.
Yes.
They can be anyway.
Yes. Well, there's just a whole lot more to it, and you can't. And when and I am so thankful when the governor says, "Hey, we're going to give all the teachers a raise." That's fantastic. They deserve it. But in Lawrence County Schools, one thing that our leadership has always done is when one gets, everybody gets. Meaning,
Now, is that a law, or is that just something that we decide to do?
we decide to do. What our school board has done, the history of our school board, is in the past, when a raise is given, it's given to all, meaning custodial, maintenance, our fabulous nutrition department. I love our cafeteria ladies so much. They are amazing. Yeah. They play such a vital role, and I'm not just saying that. I love them all. They're fantastic. But our district, when one gets, all gets, it's kind of been the process. But there's times when the dollars are not there. But the history of Lawrence County, we try to give to all.
Sure.
We've tried. There may be times this year since I've retired, that those pay increases have not happened.
Yeah.
But it takes us all to educate the kids. It takes us all. It takes the cafeteria ladies.
Yeah.
It takes the custodial. It takes it takes everyone in those buildings to educate those kids.
Well, as a citizen of Lawrence County, these schools are our schools.
They are.
They're our kids. They're our families.
Yep.
It affects us all.
Yep.
We took the kids, or me and Daniel went down to Loretta High School ball game the other night, and watched Loretta beat up on somebody, and and so it was just, and they had their little band, was playing. I was just thinking, what a great little spirit it is.
Mm-hmm.
What a great little community, and what a great place we live in. Their scoreboard, by the way, down there, their billboard, their lighted board is pretty awesome.
Yeah,
down there at the football field.
Yeah,
so it's pretty neat.
Right.
Neat. We had a good time.
Good.
We had a good time. So that's neat. Well, we've spent about a half an hour with Miss Shannon. Daryl, I hadn't meant to ignore you.
No, I've learned over 33 and a half years to stay in my lane, and that's her lane. That's not my lane. So I just sit here and listen.
We just pulled a cord, and she just took off.
Yeah.
So
sorry, hey, that is my father's daughter. I love it.
That's awesome. I'm going to use that.
Good deal. Good deal. So, Daryl, what's going on in your world, buddy?
Same old. Just everything every day.
Yep.
Between the theater and U-Save car and truck rental, I'm staying pretty busy in the construction business. But it's also I'm in a race for city council, so
Yeah.
that's going
You guys
well.
are both
I think so.
both politically involved.
We've
And
always
actually,
been.
I hate to say that. Really, I think a better term would be community involved.
Yes.
I like
exactly.
that so much better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've always been community involved. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been telling people during this election, I said, I'm not a politician. I'm just a businessman that's running in a political position, because I've always been, around politics, but I've never been in politics.
Yeah. Well, if you run and operate a business here, or actually just live here, the politics of the community matter to you, or they should.
Absolutely.
They should, and of course we're all a part of that together. We may not always agree on everything,
Right.
But it's important that we work together for the common good.
Right.
Make things happen.
I think everybody wants what's better for Lawrenceburg. I don't think anybody's
Sure.
out to to damage Lawrenceburg in any kind of way. But I mean, I just think everybody has a different opinion of how to do that. We just all got to agree. Once it comes down to a decision, you got to agree to that decision. But I don't think you need so many like-minded ideas that everybody thinks the same. You need some diversity. You need some different ideas and
Sure.
different opinions. And of course, Shannon always says I never have a lack of opinion, so I'm good at that part of it.
If everybody would just agree with me, Shannon, we'd be all
It would
right.
be so great, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't that be good?
Absolutely.
No, Jeff, we did not. We never intend. It was not meant for both of us to be on the ballot, the November 5th ballot. It is quite crazy for both of us to be. But what it boils down to is we want to make a difference.
Sure.
We love our community.
Yeah.
We support our community any way we can, but to make a difference and use the talents that God's given us, that's what it's about. And we're if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, we're still going to love our community.
Oh, absolutely. I don't have any doubt about that.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the theater a minute.
Sure.
You guys, if people will remember, the theater actually was kind of dying. If you go back,
it was definitely on its last leg.
It was several years ago. I don't remember how many years ago it was when you guys bought it.
About
13 years ago.
13 years ago.
Actually,
Excuse me, I'm
13
sorry.
years ago last month.
But it was on a downhill slide. There wasn't a lot of interest in it. We didn't get the movies, and people were going out of town to watch movies. And I remember when you guys grabbed hold of that and decided to revitalize and pump some life back into us having a movie theater.
Right.
And I might have been one of those who went, I don't know if that's going to work or not. And you probably were
but
too.
I think we were the same way. We were like, I don't know if this is going to work, but we're going to try it.
Yeah,
Well-
lots of prayer, Jeff. Lots of prayer went into us buying that theater, for sure.
Well, you've done a good thing, and we're regular visitors. When we see the movies that we want to go see, we don't see them all.
Right.
Of course, we've got young kids, but every kid movie that's been out since y'all have had it, of course, we took on the children, and my gosh, I've seen all the kid movies.
Thank you.
I've
We
seen all the
appreciate that.
kid movies. I mean, I can name them all just about. So we come up through that. But I like other movies as well. I was going to ask about looking back over your history with it. What's been the biggest draw movie wise?
Oh, that's
You remember?
tough.
Is there one that sticks out and says, "Oh my gosh, they're flooding the theater over this one"?
Well, there was a couple actually that came out recently, not too long ago, that's been kind of on the top of the list. And I was trying to. Now you kind of put me on the spot here.
I
I don't
know.
remember. But can you remember the biggest one?
I think
year?
it's this year.
There was one that
there's
came
been
out,
several.
There was one that came out this year that's been really big. Last year, Barbie was huge.
Yeah.
Barbie was big, and some of the faith-based movies we've done
Oh,
really
yeah.
well with.
I think God's Not Dead is probably one of the biggest movies
It's-
we've had, which
Oh,
was
Well,
one of
it
the
was-
first movies.
Yeah, it's been in the
spiritual
top.
movies.
It's been in the top. It's definitely one
Yeah.
of the top spiritual
Yeah.
movies that we've had. But
The faith-based movies, we try to make a huge effort to get, but because we are a small theater, sometimes the movie companies overlook little bitty Crockett Cinemas in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. So it's a battle to get some of the movies. And people don't understand that and we didn't until we bought the theater, the process of getting the movies.
Yeah, you would think, you always think, whenever we first bought it, if there was a movie coming out, you just asked for that movie and you got it. I mean, but it doesn't work that way. You're dealing with these big, huge studios that like Disney and
And you guys are actually just you're an independent theater.
We are.
Yeah, so you're not part of a theater chain.
No, but we do have Booker. We have a Booker that we use out of Atlanta.
Okay.
That the previous owner was actually using them, and then we continued using them after we bought it, and got to be really good friends with them, and they're great to work with. But they got like 1,000 screens, so we actually get kind of thrown into their pile with them.
Okay.
Whenever it comes,
Which
especially when
helps.
it comes to the terms of what you're paying on a movie and that kind of thing, we're kind of tied with them on the 1,000 screens. But still, it all depends on how well our theater does. When we first bought it, we could not hardly get any movies because it had, like you had said, it had been run down so much and it had just about closed that there was no grosses for movies. They would compare it. Usually whenever a new movie's coming out, it gets compared to a movie that came out 3 or 4 years ago.
Right.
And then they'll see, okay, well, it didn't do well in Lawrenceburg at Crockett, so we're not going with this one, we're not going there, at least on the opening. But now that we've started building up our numbers, they're actually starting to look for us on a lot of movies that they didn't look for us on before. But that all depends on the people of Lawrenceburg, like faith-based movies. We try to bring those in, but if they don't do well, because typically those movies don't go on a wide release. They go on a small release. There's like 3,000 theaters in the state. I mean, in the United States, and they'll release them in like 500 theaters. So you've got to be in the top to be able to get one of those movies on the release. You might get it 3 or 4, 5 weeks later, but typically by that time, somebody's went somewhere else and watched it, and it doesn't do very well.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But you've got to get those grosses up, and that's what we worked on forever, is to get the grosses up so that when we do ask for a movie, then they're more inclined to give it to us.
Interesting.
So it's a lot of stuff, and then too, with 4 screens, you're always having to you're kind of juggling the movies. I mean, we have to look 2, 3, 4 weeks in advance on what movies we're going to get, because you want to make sure you have a screen. If there's a big tentpole movie coming up in, say, 4 weeks, you got to make sure you have a screen for that movie. You don't want to miss out on that movie. Like Moana 2's coming out.
Yes.
You don't want to miss that movie, so you got to make sure you have a screen for it. And when you take in a new movie, you've got to keep it 2 weeks. It's a minimum 2 weeks.
Minimum 2 weeks.
The studios will not let you release it less than 2
Do
weeks.
you get to decide if you want to keep how long you keep it after that, or are you contracted so on the front end?
It's typically, no, you keep it as long as it lasts, basically. With a 4-screen theater, after 2 weeks, the last one on the lowest one on the totem pole would leave. Unless it's grossing, like if all 4 of your movies are doing really well, and that 4th movie is still grossing quite a bit of money, then they won't let you release it. Even if you wanted to, they wouldn't let you. You would have to hang on to it.
Okay.
That's why it goes back to what I said about you have to plan 3, 4, 5 weeks down the road, because we do not want to get into that situation where we can't get out of it, and then you got this big, huge movie blockbuster coming out, and you can't pick it up because you don't have a screen for it.
Yeah.
So it's a constant battle that we're fighting, whether begging for the movie or begging to get out of a movie. We're having to do that constantly.
The current movies, because we always look.
Yeah.
You have Venom.
Venom just came out last Friday, which Venom, it's a second movie. It's a second in the sequel of Venom. That's the second one that's come out. It did not do as well as the first, and that's usually typical.
Yeah.
But go ahead. I'm sorry. You
Well, I was saying about, and you have the Wild
Robot.
How's that one doing?
It's done really well. It's been I think it's been out probably 7 or 8 weeks now.
Yeah, y'all have had it. Yeah.
We've had it a while. We don't typically keep movies that long. I mean, we keep The Forge was an awesome movie. If you didn't get to see that,
We
you missed an
it.
incredible movie.
We kept trying to get there and never did. And Daniel even mentioned it to me. So he wanted to see The Forge, and we did too. But somehow or other we missed it. Of course, Daniel was in the hospital there for a week.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, we missed that one. I would like to see that.
Yeah.
What about bringing back? And this is just a dumb question, I guess. But while we're talking on the theater stuff,
Sure.
like bringing back an old movie. something that maybe people hadn't seen in a while. I remember this comes up in my mind. Many years ago, I was young, and the Crockett Theater was still showing movies.
Right.
The old Crockett Theater.
Yeah, right.
And they had some kind of special presentation of Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
And so I got to see that movie on the big screen.
Big screen, yeah.
And it made an impact. I was just a young fella.
Yeah.
But that movie, seeing it on the large screen, made an impact on me. I was like, I've never forgotten it. So I was wondering about things like that, if that ever happens or comes up.
Well, it's hard to do stuff like that because when you're contracted with the studios, those 4 movies that we have in there that we've got booked, we can't take them off screen for any reason.
Oh, wow.
Unless a projector's down or the screen's down, something's down in that auditorium. Other than that, we cannot take it off the. We're contracted with them to play that anytime that we're playing any other movies.
Okay.
If we're not playing a movie at 10 o'clock in the morning, we don't have to play their movie. But if we're playing 3 of the other 4 movies at 12 noon, then we've got to play that one also. So we can't pull one movie off for one day or 2 days. If we did that, we would have to book that movie for the entire week.
Oh, wow.
So we'd have to keep that movie. So, at Christmas, you'll know that sometimes we do the Christmas movies.
Sure.
And we rent out auditoriums or whatever for families to come. Well, we have to book that movie for the whole week
really?
for that auditorium. We basically have to block out. So we have to really watch the schedule again to make sure there's not any new releases that we're going to miss by doing that.
Yeah.
So we never know until the time comes whether or not we're going to be able to make that work.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's a big thing. Now, Buck Gordy's our manager up there. And I've turned a lot of that stuff over to Buck that I used to always handle, but for the last year or so, I've kind of turned it over to him because we've had a little bit too much going on that I really hadn't had time. So he gets to do a lot of that now, but he still calls me a lot of times and we discuss things. But yeah, that's kind of the thing that's always that's Monday in the theater business is you're booking the movies starting for the Friday. Yeah. So Monday's always a busy day, getting everything lined up. What you're going to do.
Wow! And don't forget the concessions, you guys. And I just want to mention
it's the best part, right?
Because every once in a while, my wife will actually say, "Will you grab some popcorn?"
Yeah.
We have a lot of people that do that. People
drop by and get it to go.
A lot of people act like they're embarrassed when they do that, but it's every day. We have people that do it so regular that our staff even know when they come in what they want. They already have it and lay it up on the table on the counter.
That's part of being a part of a local community.
Right.
A good hometown feel. That's right. That's right. Well, good deal. Well, I know you guys have got a lot of irons in the fire. We've talked about Shannon. You're headed possibly to the school board, which might have been appointed, but you ended up having to do a race because they decided to do that, which is okay.
Yeah.
And if you wind up on the school board, well, congratulations. That election's right around the corner.
1 week from today.
It's a week from today, isn't it?
Praise the Lord.
Yeah.
1 week away.
It's been a long journey, but we will be excited for next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yes, I bet.
Either way.
Yeah. That's guys having an election night party or anything?
We were talking about that. I don't know. With both of us running, we don't know.
You just don't know. You don't know whether to have any kind of party because it might not be a party when the night's over.
Sad. You never know.
So you're kind of like, well, do you want to do that or you just want to stay and hibernate at home just in case it don't go your way or something? So I don't know. We don't really know. We've been talking about it.
Yeah.
Well, if you have one, I'll come.
Okay, you're so invited.
Especially if there's something to eat. So.
Yeah.
Well, I guarantee there'll be something to eat.
Yeah.
We'll always have something to eat.
Good deal. Well, what else? What's on the agenda? Let's move beyond the election and beyond. So, what's the horizon like for the Watson family? By the way, go through your family right quick. You guys got children?
We do.
Yeah, let's do that.
We do. So we've got 3 girls: Courtney, Meg, and Ansley. Mm-hmm. And Courtney and Ansley live in Nashville. And Meg lives here in Lawrence County. Meg is married to Drake, who we absolutely love. Drake is like a son to us. And they have a beautiful, beautiful, precious daughter named Evie. Evie Drake.
I love that name.
Evie, my dad's mom, her name was Evelyn. And Daryl's dad's mom was Evie. Mm-hmm. So they named Evie. Evie after both of those greats.
Yeah.
So we have Evie Drake, and we have a little baby grandson on the way in March. We will have another addition to our family. But Courtney is a CPA that lives in Nashville. Courtney's an accountant. She's a CPA. Ainsley is in retail. She's in retail in Nashville.
Okay.
And then Meg is a nurse practitioner. She's a women's health nurse practitioner here in Lawrenceburg. So we're real thankful. We're very proud of our girls.
Oh, sure.
We're very proud of them, and God's blessed us big time.
And grandbabies.
Oh my goodness!
Can't beat grandbabies.
Not at all.
They're awesome. They are
Not at
so
all.
awesome.
It's
And
Daryl.
poor Evie, she
doesn't have a
not
chance.
spoiled at all. Not
Absolutely
at all.
not. Of
Daryl
course
is
not.
Pop is the fave. He is the.
Are you
he's
Pop Pop?
Evie.
I'm
He
Pop
is
Pop.
Pop
See,
Pop.
I'm Papa, so I like
yeah.
that too.
Yeah.
I'm Pop Pop.
He's the favorite for sure. He's the favorite.
Well, I don't know. Shannon, since she's retired, she stole my day. See, since Evie was born, I kept her one day a week.
Yeah.
Since
You
she was
took
a
a day
baby,
off.
I took a day off, which I never have done in my lifetime, taking
Yeah.
a day off, from work.
But a grandbaby will do
But
it.
a grandbaby will make you do a lot of things
That's
that
right.
you wouldn't normally do. But I have for nearly 3 years. I kept her about 2.5 years. I kept her one day a week, at least one day a week.
Yeah.
And Shannon stole my day when she
did.
retired.
I did.
So now, Shannon's kind of trying to move into my favorite role, but I think she still has her Pop as her favorite.
She does. She does. And her other grandparents are fabulous too. They're amazing.
Well, we don't get tired. We really don't get tired of talking about our kids and our grandkids.
No.
We just don't. And life's been good to us, as you
Yep.
alluded to. Yeah.
Yep.
Very good. And staying involved with the community here to make it better for another generation.
That's right.
That's what we're tasked to do.
Right.
It's tasked to do. I may know this. You guys, where's your church life?
We go to Faith Church.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Here in Lawrenceburg.
Yeah,
We've been going.
That was a big project.
That was a huge project. Well, not just that part of the project. The years leading up to that project was the huge project.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we first started going, they didn't have a church here. Our daughter went to Florence. Courtney had gone down to the church down there, and she came home one Sunday and she said, "Y'all have got to go to this church. It's so awesome." And at that time, we were kind of thinking about moving churches, but we didn't know what we were doing. So we said, "Sure, well, we'll ride down one Sunday." So we loaded up and we all rode down, and we enjoyed the service. It was great. And then on the way home, all the girls was talking about the sermon.
Yeah.
All the way home, and we were like, me, Shannon and I were looking at each other going, what's going on? This is kind of strange, because usually they're talking about what they're going to have for lunch, they're doing this, but they were actually talking about the sermon. So we was like, you know what, let's just try this church out for a little bit and let's see how it goes. So we just started going down there. We said, we just won't make any commitments. We'll just go down, and if we want to go down, we'll go down. If we don't, we'll go somewhere else. We just started driving then, and for 3 years later, we were still driving to Florence to church every Sunday.
Yeah.
And then the pastor got to meeting with us and was talking about wanting to put in a satellite church in Lawrenceburg.
Right.
So then we started in Ingram South School. So every Sunday morning, we went to church at like 6 o'clock in the morning and started setting up. We had to set up church. We had to completely make a sanctuary, make a worship center and classrooms and everything. So people got there 6 to 6:30 every Sunday morning, and we set it all up. And then after the services, we always had 2 services. So after the service, we all had to tear it back down, box it back up, and push it into the building. Push it outside of the school, because we had to get it out of the gymnasium, because that's where that's where we're.
They had to have school.
I had forgotten about that. You guys were meeting at the school gymnasium there for a while.
And then COVID hit.
And we moved to the venue north. Kind of in between.
It was right after COVID.
Right in COVID, we actually moved to Venue North, and we did it up there and we were able to keep it put together up there longer times. If they had an event, then we'd have to come tear it down. But if they didn't have an event, then we could keep it built, the church built. So that was kind of like a vacation, because we got to go to church at a regular time. We got to go at 8 or 8:30 instead of 6 o'clock in the morning, and stay to 2 o'clock in the afternoon tearing it out. Which it was fine. It was a great experience. It was a bonding experience, because we had about 50 to 75 people that showed up every Sunday morning to work at church.
Yeah.
So, we kind of bonded with all those. So it's funny now we go back and we kind of laugh about it. But, it was brutal. It was a lot of work. I mean, it was a lot of work.
It was the best work we could do, though. Yeah,
absolutely.
it was the best
when
work.
When you have a common, goal, I guess, like that, working with some people who are like-minded, I mean, you get close to those people.
You do.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah, and those relationships last. Those are lifetime relationships that you built up.
And that's good. And that's honestly, that's what churches should develop.
But we love Faith Church, but everybody has reasons to go wherever they're going, and that's great. As long as you're going somewhere, it does not matter to us or anybody else what church you go to. As long as you go to a church,
go where you can grow. That's what I tell people. You go where you can grow.
Yeah, grow and serve, and
right.
and learn the word, and of course be edified, and then of course be a blessing as well.
So we all have the same goal.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
Yep.
we're all striving to.
I think we've been recently attending Thousand Hills, and that's kind of where we've landed. That's kind of where we've landed after
Great church.
needing to move around a little bit,
Yeah.
and we've enjoyed it so far. I think that's.
So many good people there.
But now we do like to bounce. We may visit somewhere else.
Yeah.
Well,
You're
welcome to go.
You're welcome to come
like to go.
to Faith. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
We just like to go and visit.
Yeah.
I like to get along with everybody.
That's right. That's right. That's right. We all have the
Yeah.
same game plan.
Yeah, good deal. Good deal.
For sure.
Well, I know that life is busy for you guys. We've covered a lot of the bases. We hadn't talked too much about YouSave. That's been a part of your life for a long, long time, bud.
That's been a part of my life since 1999.
Yeah.
We opened the first YouSave in Columbia in '99.
Yeah.
Is when we started up there, and I did that for 13 years. But in between there, we opened the one in Lawrenceburg.
Yeah.
So I had two of them running for quite a while, and then we sold the one in Columbia to Mark and Michael Miller.
Yeah.
And they purchased that out of the Columbia office. So
Yeah.
that was after I purchased. We purchased the theater. So
Yeah.
I needed to get rid of something off my plate. So we sold we had the opportunity, and they came along. So we sold the Columbia location to them. But yeah, the car rental business that's been our lifeblood for many years. We enjoy that. That's so much I've always been around the car business. I worked for Lanny for 3 or 4 years back when we first got married. So I've been, and my parents owned a mechanic shop on North Military Job or Supply.
That's right.
So since I was, old enough to walk, I've worked around cars, and I've loved cars. I've always played with cars, built cars, messed with cars. So, going into the rental business was just kind of an easy transition for me. And then my background in cars and stuff kind of helped me through the years to be able to survive in that business, because it's expensive to get cars worked on, to get things done. And when you got several in your fleet, you got to have somebody you can trust, and you got to have some knowledge on cars too, so that somebody don't take advantage of you, especially when you're younger, that kind of thing, and starting out. So yeah, we've been in the car business for a long time, many years, and I love the car rental business.
Well, not knowing myself, I haven't had to rent a lot of cars. I used to travel some, and I do it then. I had a sales job at one point where I would fly different places, and I would always rental cars there. But what is the demand? Is there a huge demand locally for?
Yeah, there's a demand. There's several different ways people rent a car. A lot of times it's insurance replacement. If you have an accident, if you go if you're driving your car down the road and you have a wreck, you got to have something to replace that car. Well, we deal with all the insurance companies, and you can come to YouSave and rent a car. And most of the time, the insurance company will pay for that rental car. Now, they pay a certain amount, but typically we can rent you something for what they pay.
Sure.
Now, we have a lot of corporate accounts. A lot of the businesses in town, all the main manufacturers and stuff, they travel a lot, so they rent a lot of stuff from us. And then we have minivans, 15-passenger vans. So, you've got churches, you've got schools that rent some. You've got individuals that's going on vacation. If you're going to the beach, you don't want to drive your car, or you want to rent a minivan, you'll come up and rent a minivan from us. Or a lot of times, if you're driving a truck, I've got some people that, travel long distance and they've got trucks or whatever and they don't get very good gas mileage, they can rent a car usually for what they'll save in the fuel cost of not driving their own vehicle and putting the miles on their own vehicle.
That's
so
a
they'll
good
come
point.
Mm-hmm.
I can't help but think about the Seinfeld episode.
Oh, yeah.
Where he has a car rental reservation and they don't have the car for him.
You know how to take the reservation, you just know how to keep
You
the
don't know how to
reservation.
keep the reservation.
I love
But
Seinfeld.
the fun part of that though is she asked him when they finally do get a car. She asked him if he wants insurance. He said, "Oh yeah, because I'm going to beat the crap out of this car."
Yes, and that is true. I mean, that's kind of scares you when they buy the insurance because you're kind of concerned about that because you don't want them to beat the crap out of the car.
I know
But
you
I had a
don't.
story one time. I know we're about finished, but
We
we
got
also
time.
have a policy that no smoking in our cars.
Yes.
So in Columbia, at my Columbia office, which was a lot worse as far as people smoking in and that kind of thing than it is at the Lawrenceburg office. A little younger, a little earlier. Back in the early 2000s, a lot more people smoked. Well, I had a guy come in one time. We had a note on the door on the counter that says $100 cleaning fee for if you smoke in the car. We didn't want to collect that from anybody. We just wanted that to stop people from smoking in the cars, maybe deter them from smoking in it.
Yeah.
Well, he was standing at the counter and he reached in his wallet and handed me a $100 bill and said, "I'm smoking in your car. Here's $100." And I was like, "No, that's not what I want. That's not." So now it's a $350 cleaning fee.
That's funny.
Because he literally
Still is
just
worth $100 to
it's
him to
worth
get to
$100
smoke
to
in
him
it.
just so he could smoke in the
Oh
car.
my
And I was
gosh,
like,
that's
"No,
a
I
good
don't want
story.
you to smoke in my car."
That's a good story.
Because somebody smokes in it, then the next person comes to rent it. They don't smoke, and it's hard to rent.
Yeah.
You have to literally take it out of the fleet for a couple of days. We got this bomb that we can put in it that kind of clears it up. Mostly, you couldn't do that to a car that's been smoked in for years, but a car that's been smoked in for 2 days, you can typically put this in there and it'll let it air out, and
Interesting.
it helps it a whole lot. But
Very, very good.
but yeah, that's a lot of stories like that. I've had stories where I've had to drive. I flew to Seattle, Washington to pick a car up before people drove it out there and left it.
Oh my gosh.
So I've been all over the country to pick up cars. So it's
Oh my gosh.
Oh, but
it's
he
amazing.
made a trip of it.
Oh yeah, I made a trip out of it. If you're gonna have to do it, you might as
Yeah.
well make a trip.
Well, put me on the list. Put me
Okay.
on the list if you got a car like that you need somebody to go get. I may do that.
Well,
Listen, I love driving and I
Yeah.
love seeing the country.
Well,
see, me and Shane Hughes have
Yeah.
been. We take our baseball trips. We take a baseball trip. Typically, every year we'll go somewhere because we want to go see all 30 ballparks. Well, we've gone to most all of them now. We only have about 6 probably that we haven't been to.
Yeah.
But I called him up and said, "Hey, I've got a car in Seattle, Washington. I got to make a road trip. Do you want to go?" And he said, "Sure, let's go." So we flew to Seattle and watched the Seattle Mariners play.
Yeah.
And then we got in the car the next day and drove across the northern part of the United States and went to Minnesota and watched the Twins play. But it took us about 2 days to get there. But we
I'm
went
in.
there, and then we drove south and went to St. Louis and watched St. Louis play.
Yeah.
And then we came on
Well,
back
that's
to
just too
Lawrenceburg.
much
So,
fun. I didn't know there was this kind of thing existed, or I already been signed up.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Thankfully, it doesn't happen often.
Shane gets first dibs, so I'll have to call him first. But if he declines, or we can make it a 3. We could take 3 people. I mean, we could all go.
Well, whatever.
We'll all make it
I'll
work.
root in on that.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll root in on that. Well, listen, it's been great having you guys.
Thank you.
Of course, this has been the Rent Right and First Class Charter Hour. Our guests today have been Daryl and Shannon Watson, business people in town and also part of our education system. Both of you are involved heavily in our community, and we appreciate you. Appreciate you being on today. Bill Adams had sent me a message. He was probably listening somewhere. He's in Nashville at training for the school board, and he says thank you for doing it today.
Thank you to
Well,
Bill.
thanks-
Thank you to
thanks,
Bill, and
for
thank you to
sponsoring
you.
this and asking us to
Yeah.
do it. It was good.
Yeah.
All right.
Get out and vote. Whoever you vote for.
Yeah.
You got one more week. You got early voting through Thursday. Thursday's the last day for early voting, and then
Yeah.
next Tuesday's the election. So get out and vote. If you'll vote for Shannon and I, we would appreciate you vote. But if you don't, just get out and vote anyway.
All right. Well, God bless, guys. Thank you for being
Same
here.
to you.
You have
Thank
a good
you.
one.
Thanks,
See you next time.
Jeff. Thank you so much.
Former President Trump takes the lead a week before the election. I'm